Hello. So, Spirit has been nudging me and nudging me and nudging me to share my story with you all, like share basically everything that has transpired since I started my YouTube channel, because I got the nudge to share the story and I'm like, well, where do I start? Because it's a lot. Spirit said, start with the betrayal. And I'm like, which one? The first one or the umpteenth one? You know, but I try not to have an attitude with Spirit because still I stand. And now that's only because I have huge support in the spirit realm. So whatever they encourage me to do, I really need to do, because I don't want to lose that support, right? So I have not really wanted to share this with you all, for different reasons. Like, mainly because I worry about saying too much, and I really don't want to do that because I've done that in the past, and I do not like repeating the same mistakes that I made. Although when I tell you my story, you're gonna be like, bullshit. I'm just saying, like, I don't intentionally make the same mistakes. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it happens, but I don't do it on purpose. Okay, so anyway, they wanted me to start with the betrayal. So I'm thinking this betrayal that they are referring to, and by they I mean my spirit team, has to do with fake friends and family that are equivalent to fake friends, you know? So it's a lot. It's a lot. So let me tell you, I'll kind of just give you a little tidbits from the beginning to where I am now, so you kind of understand. So I will be 40 this year, right? Well, rewind and go all the way back to like forever ago, right? I was a teen mother. I had my first child 6 days before I turned 16. So my mother, my older sister, and my son's father's family played a huge role in helping raise him, because I was still a kid myself, really. And even more so than the average 15, 16-year-old. And I say that because in my childhood, I cannot tell you how many times I suffered from concussions, like hitting my head or falling and hitting my head, concrete, cement, on whatever, right? It was like, I feel like it was written in the stars almost. Because it happened all the time when I was a kid. Like, it happened all the time. And my mom used to tell me, she was like, I used to be so worried about you because you just would always hit your head. You'd hit your head on doorknobs, wherever, basically. Anywhere I could hit my head, I hit my head. And even that was like, as an infant, I want to say when I was like 10 or 11 years old, we were in the mall, me, my mom, and my older sister. And y'all know how they have like those big pillars that like square and a mirror on all four sides, and it's basically like from the bottom to the top, like from the foundation all the way up to the roof. That's how it is in a lot of malls. There was one day that like we were in a mall, and this is after I don't know how many concussions as a infant or a toddler, and at this point I had to be between like 9 and 12. And we were in the mall, and I was like turned like this, looking back at something, but walking straight ahead, and didn't realize, and I like walked straight into one of those big mirror pillars, and like I'm talking about like the whole fucking mall shook. Macy's was like, like I'm not kidding you. My mom and my sister were like just really shocked that I didn't faint or something. Anyway, I imagine that I experienced a concussion there. I feel like I hit my head so many times, I injured my head so many times that it didn't really, like, it didn't faze me that much. Like, it did, but I didn't realize it did, if you know what I mean. Like, it was affecting me and my development in ways that I was unaware of. And then in was it 2000? I think it was 2011. I was in a really bad car accident, and I hit my head on the dash, and like the dashboard cracked open, and my wig, because I had a wig on at the time, it was like embedded in the dashboard. Like we could not get the wig out of the dashboard. But from the outside, there was no damage, right? And I injured my ankle, and my left ankle, and my right knee in that car accident. And probably my brain as well, and wasn't aware of it. Okay, so let me tell you what happened. After that accident, I had to have multiple surgeries on my left ankle, hardware put in my left ankle, and because of, I crushed my left ankle, so there's like all pins and screws there, and then my right knee, I tore 2 ligaments in the car accident. So it was like a 6-month period where I could not walk, and I was constantly going to the doctor for my ankle injury because I had to have surgery on it. I want to say at least twice. It might have been 3 times, but I know twice. And in the midst of that, I'm going to the doctor for my ankle, going to another doctor for my knee, and I was supposed to see another doctor for head trauma. And in the midst of everything that was going on, I just never saw that doctor. So I have no idea how that car accident affected my brain. Not to mention all the brain damage from narcissistic abuse, because that does cause brain damage as well. So there's all that, right? So that's just like a little backstory. And I only tell you all of that so it kind of helps you understand why my decision-making skills might not have been up to par. Ain't no might not have been, they weren't. They were not up to par, right? So anyway, fast forward from being a teen mother with all these brain injuries or whatever. I had, as a teenager, I had 2 children. I had my son, like I said, 6 days, I believe, 6 days before I turned 16. And then I had my daughter when I was 17. So they were kind of, I think, okay, so my oldest son's name is Damon. My daughter's name is Deja. And then 10 years later, I have another one. His name is Jonathan. But anyway, Damon, none of them have the same father. That's one thing. Do not judge me. If you do, okay, I don't care. But anyway, for those of you that don't, I love you. So anyway, Damon's family, like, what I say Damon's family, his father's family, they played a huge role. Like, I'll say in my teenage years and my young adult years, like a very huge role, right? Damon, my first child, his father was my first and like the love of my life, right? And unfortunately, he is no longer with us. God rest his soul. And later, not that much later down the road, right? I had my daughter, and basically when I had my son, we were very young, and his parents were like very concerned about us continuing to go down the path that we were on. So they separated us, like put him in military school, sent him away to live with his mother, who lived in a different state because his parents were separated at a young age, at a young age for him. I want to say his parents got divorced when he was a baby, and my parents got divorced when I was about 4. So we had that in common. I like to believe now, from my understanding, that we like trauma bonded as young teenagers, because he was raised by his dad, and I was raised by my mom. His dad wasn't a single parent. His dad remarried, but still, he was missing the love of a mother, like a birth mother. He had the love of his stepmother, but like the love of a birth mother, he didn't have that, or at least he didn't feel like he had that, and he didn't have it. Like, he didn't. And it was kind of the same for me, except I was raised by my mom, and she never remarried. So we kind of like had that in common, of like his mom not really being present and my father not really being present. And I think that's what like made us connect to each other. Now I know trauma bonding is really not a good thing, but of course back then I didn't know it, and it wasn't really a bad thing because he wasn't a bad person and I wasn't a bad person. It was just, we had this mutual sort of trauma and lack in our lives, and I feel that we kind of filled a void for one another. Anyway, his father, just out of like loving him and being concerned for him and not wanting him to go down the wrong path, he sent him to military school, which was in another state, and we couldn't talk or anything anymore. Like, we wrote each other letters, but that was all we could do. And then after military school, he was sent to live with his mother, and I'm not sure if she was in Texas or Arizona at the time, but I was in Illinois, and he was being sent to, I think he went to military school in Missouri, and then after that he was sent to live with his mother in like Texas or Arizona. I'm not sure which one she was in at the time, but I feel like his father did that for good reasons. I really wish our parents would have just encouraged us to get married, because there are lots of people that, like, they like fall in love with that person and they end up with that person. Like, I know a lot of people like that. But in his father's defense, I know he wanted him to finish school. Like, he was a basketball player. There was different things he could have done with his life, and he didn't want getting caught up in, I don't know, just like the wrong things to hold his son back. So I understand where he was coming from, but I really feel like if our parents had just encouraged us to get married and raise our child together, that we would still be together, he'd still be alive, and whatever. But then again, after our relationship, him like being separated from me and going to live here, going to live there, going to live whatever, he ended up living with his brother, his older brother in Tennessee after like military school, and I want to say living with his mom for a period of time. He may have gone directly to his brother in Tennessee after military school, but I think he was with his mom for a while and then went and lived with his brother who was in the military living in Tennessee. And he met his second child's mother. So we still ended up doing what they kind of didn't want us to do, because he ended up having another child. I ended up having another child. He didn't end up graduating high school. I didn't end up graduating high school. Like, we both got GEDs. I went to night school for a while, and that wasn't for me. So then I dropped out of night school and went to community college and got my GED so that I could start working to like take care of my kids. Because at that point I had 2 kids. And he did too, you know. But this video is getting long, and I really want to share like the whole story with you guys, so you have a really good understanding, and like a good understanding of me and where I'm coming from, but also why like I try to inspire and uplift other people and encourage other people. I try not to be judgmental of people, because at my age, when I was pregnant, I'm telling you, like, walking through school, I was in junior high at that time. My birthday was late in September, so I started school late because of my birthday. And in first grade, I really struggled with reading, so I had to repeat first grade. Like, the school basically gave my mom a choice. They said, you know, she passed everything except reading. She failed reading. But if we move her up to second grade, you have to read in every subject. So it's really up to you, you know? And my mom, like, I don't want to put her through that. She's not on the same page as everyone around her. So I repeated the first grade after already my birthday being late. So it's like 2 years behind. So you can only imagine like what I dealt with. People were very mean. I dealt with people bullying me, calling me stupid and retarded and everything else, and I don't really care. That's why it kind of gave me thick skin not to care what people think about me, and it made me inclined to like lean towards the kids with disabilities, and maybe like kids being picked on coming from single families or dysfunctional families or poor families or whatever, where just basically where they would be picked on and isolated. And I knew exactly how that felt, and I hate it. Like, I just hated it. I hated it for myself, and I hate to see someone else be treated it like in a stupid way, because people just tend to be petty, mean-spirited, cruel, emotionally immature, and just ignorant, you know? So there's all that to my childhood, and then starting like going into junior high with all of this, you know, like baggage, if you will. I was still picked on and like made fun of, and my point was, I was in 7th grade when I got pregnant with my oldest. His dad was in 8th grade. I was in 7th grade. And from students to teachers, and me like walking through the hallways and them seeing my belly like out to here. And this was before I went to night school. I was still in school with everyone else, in a predominantly white area. You cannot imagine the looks and just like people looking at me like they were surely disgusted with me. Like, my parents couldn't be shit. I wasn't shit. My baby wasn't gonna be shit. I was an abomination. My baby daddy was an abomination. Like, the looks alone. So that kind of helped me walk with my head up and looking right back at people like, I am just as disgusted with you as you are with me. So what? We just all sit up and look at each other. You know? So I dealt with that. And I dealt with that at church. I grew up in a United Methodist church, and like, not my pastor, I love him. He was a single father. My mom was a single mother, and like, um, they were good friends, and I love him. I love his kids. He was good to me. They were always good to me, right? Even if they may have had some judgments or whatever, I feel like they refrain from letting that show out of care for my feelings, because they're like real people. Like, at least I feel that way. But dealing with that in school, in church, go to the grocery store. I couldn't go anywhere at 15 without somebody looking at me like, you know, I can look stank too. We can do this. Trust me. Anyway, I just try not to be judgmental of people, and from all the things that I've experienced and the mistakes that I've made in my life, that's why I feel like I can guide, encourage, and uplift other people that are treated in a shitty way or come from a dysfunctional family. There's so many different things that I've experienced in my life. Not to mention, I was also incarcerated for 2.5. I got a 2.5, but I'm trying to see if I was actually locked up for exactly 2.5 years. I don't know if it was exactly 2.5 years, where I was incarcerated through 80% of your time. And unfortunately, I went from being incarcerated in one place to immediately leaving there and being extradited and transported to another place for another crime. Like, they call me done done it all. Okay, I can tell y'all a lot about my life, and you'll look like, what? You? Never. Yes, me. Yes. So, this anyway, like I was saying, this is getting long, and this video is more than likely, or not necessarily this video, but this story and video is going to have multiple parts to it, because it's a lot to tell. But basically, the bread and butter of it is what I'm gonna give to y'all is about the betrayal and just how I am doing whatever I can now to bounce back from the betrayal, because we all experience it, maybe not to the extreme or length that I've experienced it, but we do all experience betrayal. So Spirit must want me to share my experience with you all for a reason. I imagine it could help a lot of people dealing with being mistreated, or a number of things, like dealing with a number of things. There's a wide range of things that I've experienced in my life that give me like motivation and drive and ambition to help other people. That's what my intention is. So I imagine by the time y'all get the full story, I will have helped some. Maybe not in this video itself, but it's coming. And I don't know if I said this in the beginning, but I just want to say shout out to my friends in the Philippines. I love you all. I appreciate you all very, very much. So anyway, guys, it'll be a part 2, and maybe a part 3, and a part 4, and a part 5, and a part 6. I don't know, but you'll get it. You'll get the whole story. You're gonna be like, oh my gosh, I know. You'll be clutching your pearls, getting mad, getting sad. It's going to be a lot. You might want to have a drink, a joint, something to eat for the next one. It's just a little hot. Anyway, good night, y'all.